Hello viewers, Super GT here. How are we doing? Okay, welcome back. We have a fine episode of Red Bull Ring, but also mixed in with that some fine racing, but also some rather disastrous dirty racing. And I just want to demonstrate how this track looks like a whale. And there's my fine little drawing I did once. And you won't be able to see the track in another way from now on. This circuit tends to go well with the Huracan, which is an unfortunate thing for me because I have a very poor history with this car. And in fact, in a video last year, I very much professed my hatred for it. I'm never going to drive this car again. So that's what I said, but here's gameplay of me actually driving the car. So I was actually talking a load of rubbish, it seems, which is basically what I'm talking most of the time. So let's have a look at qualifying. I just wanted to set a couple of little laps here. 28.8. I wanted to get down to a low 28, and that's exactly what I did a couple of laps later. 28.2. Settle with that. Let's see if we can have a nice, jolly race. Super GT Clips channel going well. Go and have a look in the channel description, video description below. We're up to about 13k subs now. Pretty good going, so thank you for that. But anyway, back to the race. Let's kick things off in third place, up behind an Aston Martin. We've got a Porsche in the lead, Corvette just behind. I think we have got a GTR in there somewhere. So a nice little mix, might I say, in the top 10 between a lot of the drivers here, because usually everyone goes for the Huracan if it's the quickest car. Spanish driver just in front there, setting the tone of the video by getting a penalty very early doors here. So normally, you know, in EU at least I've found, I think in America people do tend to choose more varied cars, but over here in EU land, it's a fair old mix this time, when normally everyone will go for the Huracan and just leave it at that. So we're through the Spaniard, went through him like he didn't exist, serving that penalty. Up into second, we turn our attentions onto TX3 Ryan in the lead there. Up in the Porsche, I didn't really expect to see that car, but I mean, it's such a well-balanced car, and people do ask me all the time, you know, if you could pick one car for Group 3, what would it be? And obviously it's the Dacia Sandero GT3 car. Apart from that, probably the Porsche 911, just because it's so well-rounded. Very good all-rounder. Kind of has it all, maybe apart from absolute top end. So it might struggle up in the run towards turn 3. But, you know, if he can get good traction out of turn 1, then he's kind of sorted himself out. Now, my quest to catch up with Ryan, was kind of being hampered by the distraction of Martin behind, flashing his lights, trying to give us every possible distraction. We head through turn 1, and it wasn't really happening. So the gap actually went above 1 second. I only needed to get it, of course, below 3/4 of a second, the magical slipstreaming zone. Now Martin was in range. He went for the move, slightly overshot it, goes wide. We retake second, but unfortunately that kind of lost us a few tenths there, just on the apex of the corner, having to sort of just let him go past, let him sail by before we went for the old switcheroo on the exit. So it was looking like a race that would settle for second. I would have to settle for second and just do my best to defend for the remaining laps. Up against a hard-charging Corvette, which is actually a very good car for Group 3. Still the lights are being flashed. I'm being dazzled as we head up the hill into turn 3, lap 3. Keep him to the outside. Commit to the right, bring him back to the left, and then there's not much he can do. In fact, I haven't brought myself over to the right early enough here. So that was a good defence on the way in, but not so much on the way out. And as we therefore head towards turn 4, he has the inside line. I could fight this one around the outside, but I don't really fancy getting Albon on the exit. So I let him have that one. And we're going to settle into third. A little bit of a gap back to the Spaniard there in fourth, and then 2 Corvettes, 5th and 6th. But we don't have to worry about them just yet. We're going to try and get this position back. And Red Bull Ring, very much one of those tracks where you kind of have to set yourself up normally for a move up in towards turn 3. That's where you're normally looking for the move. I mean, you can do it into turn 1, but then there's a high chance you'll get re-overtaken back into turn 3. I just go into the back of Martin there, wanting to carry a little bit more speed on the way in than perhaps was actually permissible in that exact moment. But as we head across the line to begin the 4th lap, he moves over to the right, go defensive. And then as we head into towards turn 1 again, I'm just trying to carry a little bit too much speed as he's in position there. I couldn't really do that. And what that has done in turn is bring the Spaniard in the Aston Martin into the fight. So now I have to attack while simultaneously defending, and it all kind of works out rather well here. Into the hairpin, top of the hill. We all cover each other off, so no one actually gets the move done. I think he gets a poor exit there, so he drops off slightly. So now once again I can turn my attention on Martin, who's gone fully to the right hand side. And in fact, there was a bit of a space there for just a second. I did think about it briefly, but it would have been a risky pass. So we're going to try and actually survive here just for at least another lap. That might be a banzai last lap move, but not on lap 4. I mean, come on now. Let's not go too crazy too soon. So as we come into the infield, now this car, there's a reason why this car is so successful here. That's because it has good top end, which you need on the long straights, but also it rotates very well in this middle sector. You just have to lift off. This car has a ton of lift off oversteer. Once you come off the throttle completely, it just wants to turn. If anything, too much, but it's up to you to try to learn to control that. But that's one of the reasons why this car is very hard to drive, but it is very rewarding once you can drive it. And that's why I was moaning about it so much in a previous video that I showed earlier in this video. I was driving around Fuji, I think, on that occasion. And yeah, it was a tricky old time. But once you learn it, it's good. Trust me, it's a very good car. You just have to lift off the power for about a couple of tenths of a second, and it's all good. Anyway, enough of my ramblings. Up into towards turn 3, and this is where things get a little bit messy. Spaniard just comes in a little bit too hot. Goes into the back of Martin. He goes wide, but he managed to retain the position. So I go to the left instead, the outside. This is the final lap now, only half a lap remaining as we head down the hill towards turn 4. He's gone a little bit hot. We're going to go for the cutback. The old switcheroo, as Mr. Crofty would say. And we've done it. Back into second. We have to defend our position for half a lap. Takes through Ryan, 5.5 seconds up the road. Not much chance of me catching him. But you see the fighting here, very intense on the final lap, in the final sector of the race, in fact. As we head out towards the final 2 corners, I've got a nice bit of breathing room now. I don't really have to worry. They're going to go 3 abreast into the second to last corner, which is not an ideal scenario to be in. So I'm kind of glad I'm not back there. So I timed my move really to perfection. It's going to be a second. And in fact, oh no, Martin drops down to 6th place. 2nd to 6th in 1 lap. And that's got to be very painful indeed. Borderline on a par with childbirth, I'd suggest. But we move on to the second race. And this is where things get really rather awful. And in fact, I think people do need to go to prison for this. For some of the things that happen here. Some crimes against motorsport. In fact, crimes against humanity were committed during this race. So it really was a desperate situation. And Spaniard gets spun round there. I did tap him very slightly on the apex. But I'm going to continue anyway. Because I'm not sure it was really... Well, who knows? You tell me. Midnight ISO comes in a little bit hot. Easy to do that though. So easy to do that. And then we have this weird situation here down the back straight where we're actually 3 abreast momentarily. And then I'm at the front carriage of a Lamborghini train on the right-hand side. On the inside, we're going to try and take this apex. Nice. Look at the crowd here forming on the circuit. So we're into the lead of the race. And it's all rather kicked off quite nicely there. And we head through turn... Oh, what turn is that? About 6, something like that. I'm just going to make up some numbers. Turn 6, that was, I think. This is turn 8. Turn 6. Yeah, I think that was turn 6. So heading towards turn 9 now, and I'm pretty sure this is turn 9 and 10 at the end of the lap. We've got a nice little gap, and we're rather fortuitous there on lap 1, trying to just capitalise on all of the misgivings and bad luck. We find ourselves in the lead. But what we're going to try and do is pull away from Midnight ISO. The hard thing to do really is just get out of the tow, because once you're giving someone the tow, they're going to gain a couple of tenths on each straight, and it's very difficult to pull away from that. So we couldn't quite manage it. But this is lap 3. This is the situation here now, as we head up the hill once again, and you can see just how close he is. This is how you have to defend this. You have to move to the right, let them commit left. I'm watching the radar. As soon as they commit left, force them to the very edge of the track. This opens up the corner for yourself, and then forces them very wide, and then we keep the corner just like that. Make sure you don't overshoot it. Make sure you get on the power nice and early. And we've done our job. Then heading towards turn 4, very much the same kind of proposition here. As we move to the right-hand side, cover it off. And then you are allowed to move back to the outside, but obviously you have to give them a car width. So don't move fully across. You just have to keep them there, give them some room. This is the situation then on lap 4. Very similar. In fact, he's a little bit further behind, but in fact, you can get a bit more of a slingshot from that kind of position. And actually, the timing of it was quite worrying here, so I had to go cover the middle of the track. Park it on the apex. He's on the outside. Still got a bit of room there, but not quite enough to get that move done. That Aston Martin is very quick in a straight line. Doesn't quite have the rotation that the Lamborghini has. So you do have to realise the strengths and weaknesses of your cars. He doesn't fancy getting Albon there, and just backed out of it last second. So this is quite a tough defence being put up here. You're probably wondering, where are these crimes against humanity? Well, you'll see that in just a moment. Don't you worry. Don't you worry, viewer. I'm not going to lie to you just like that. What do we have here? 1 1/4 laps remaining. I'm going to move to the right-hand side. He's made a bit of a mistake there, I think, through the middle sector. And with 1 lap left to go, I'm about half a second ahead as we head into the apex of turn 1. I'm going through there in 2nd gear, and actually it turns out that you really want to go through there in 3rd gear in this car. 2nd gear is just a gear too low. You get too much traction. You get too much wheel spin. Sorry, not enough traction, and yeah, it's the wrong gear. So he wasn't close enough on that occasion there to go for the move into turn 3. But how about turn 4? Let's take a look. He is very close. He's one of those ones where you just sense that he is close enough potentially to go for a huge dive bomb, but he doesn't. Yeah, it wasn't really close enough. I'm lying. So I just have to defend this last sector here. I think once you've got to this point of the lap, you should, like, keyword should, be safe. As long as you don't mess it up completely. He's very close though. So we swing into turn 9. Drop down the hill into turn 10. We've got it done. We've got it done. And we're going to come through for a victory in the Lamborghini Huracan. One of my least favourite cars. But we got it done. Very happy about that. Finish time of 7:29. Not too bad. But this is where it began to kick off in the chat. English are rubbish. So we turned it into a battle of nationality. Okay, but we were just reading the chat there. Let's go and have a look at what happened. First things first. He's got danger written all over across the back of his car, which spells, well, danger really, doesn't it? Okay, I mean, that's what the word is. So that was the Spaniard spinning wide on turn 1. Coming down towards turn 4 now. This is where things began to choke up. It was really weird. I'm analysing the racing here. It was really weird. It was really weird. Let me just tell you that, because in some ways it was really respectful, and then in a flash it would just turn into pure filth, and I couldn't quite describe really why. This is turn 3, lap 2, and this is where things really began to kick off, because obviously the penalty system is basically non-existent for contact at the moment, so things like that are just very well impossible. And you see just that crowd behind getting very, very pent up with anger right now at this exact moment, as that Spaniard just kind of gets through, and that move just happened. But then he gets himself a penalty, half-second penalty, presumably for the track extension or corner cutting, I don't know what. Probably not contact, because you don't really get any for contact these days. And then he kind of just gets shoved wide on the exit of turn 4 there. And then they kind of turn across each other in a nice little battle. They both survive it, just hit markers, no actual finishing moves. And then Russian gets shoved out wide. Oh no, Russian comes in out of nowhere. Then Russian gets shoved onto the gravel. Then we have a return of position. He's back up into 5th. So the filth comes out now. This is where the filth really comes out. Back at turn 3, our main flashpoint of the race. This is where things get really dirty once again. In fact, I've seen sewers cleaner than this. How about lap number 5? In fact, no. This is the thing. They weren't fully committed to actually really wiping each other out. They just wanted to have a little bit of a punch up, but then carry on the racing. So it was all just a bit strange to me, really. There was no actual full-on Shadow Realm entries where someone would just absolutely vaporise someone into a new dimension. That didn't really seem to happen, apart from this moment here, where Marcus obviously got a bit tired and just turned left into a right-hander. Left hand down, you know, when you're turning right. And then before you know it, your opponent is killed. And then, then the German there getting shoved into the gravel, into the kitty litter. And all manner of depravity is breaking loose here as we head into the final couple of corners. I was expecting a John Cena full-on ram, but it just didn't happen. So that was just a really weird sort of race there, where everyone just wanted to kill each other. Well, maim each other. They didn't want to actually kill each other. Just seriously injure. We won't go quite as far. A bit of manslaughter, you know, rather than murder. So I wanted to improve my qualifying time, and look at that. I went 1/4 of a second faster than my actual PB in the first sector alone. So therefore I know that I could do a 27.9. On the first lap I improved to a 28.1. So I kind of messed up the second and third sector. But this is my best lap. Going towards turn 1, braking on the 100 board, and you want to go through in 3rd gear, and you can go right wheels up until the sausage, the yellow sausage, and you're good through there. So you make sure you're getting the most of that on the exit of turn 1. You really do have to make the most of it, because you're going to gain all the way up the straight. I was 1/2 a tenth down in that first sector, but that's not too bad, that's fine. Down into turn 4, braking just before the 100 board, and it was the same actually for turn 3. You want to brake just before the 100 board, maybe about 120. Winding round towards turn 5, 6, turn 6. Again, in this car, it's all about the rotation. Getting the car rotated, so you lift a little bit to get the car to, you know, get the back end round, and then you get it back on the power. And I'm at this point about a tenth up, so I could go for a 28.0 here. If I get these last 2 corners okay, then I can get better than that. Let's see. Not as committed as I could have been on the power. Same there, didn't quite hit the apex. Not great, not bad. Let's see what that is. It's a 28.0. It's a good lap. It's a good lap. It's about 8 tenths off the number 1 in EU. So I'll take it. Okay, and that puts us on pole position. And thankfully I did make those improvements, because if I had stayed on a 28.2, I would have been 4th on the grid. So good timing with that. So let's go for race number 3 and hope that the amount of filth is significantly less. And it's not going to kick off well, because this incident here wasn't well, the other driver wasn't happy with me for this. Let's see. Okay, coming up towards turn 3, he's on the outside, he's on the left. I'm braking, I'm going to hit the apex, and then he gets hit from behind and he gets spun out completely. Could I have left him more space? Well, it's a bit hard racing. We have the Spaniard just behind us now, and the main threat we have really is just getting swallowed up by the pack and getting engulfed into a race. As boring as it might be, what you really want in motorsport is just to pull away and have a boring, lights to flag first place where no one interrupts you. And thankfully that's kind of what happened here. And we got away crossing the line at the end of the race, claiming our trophy and our wreath. But I was told to watch the replay, so that's exactly what I'm doing. It's exactly what you're doing as well, because you're watching the video. So let's have a look. That was the move up at turn 3 on lap 1. I mean, yeah, I mean, it was close racing. It was hard racing. Could I have left him more space? I don't know. If that was me on the outside, I would have backed out and just let him have it. But then, really, he got hit by the Spaniard. And, oh, bloody hell, what's going on here? And then, oh, okay. And then he got very frustrated with that and then decided to be a true R4M member and bring out the ramming skills. Very sorry scenes here at Red Bull Ring. And then a lap later, he got spun out onto the barrier. Barrier having a visit there. What's going to happen here? Let's take a look. It's getting rather congested. Now, this is the weird thing, because this race, you see here, Spaniard having a fine race, and they're having a good little battle here. I think the Italian just at the back there just misjudges braking and forces the Belgian a little bit on, and then it's just awkward contact. So I think, oh, as this the guy waving his yellow flag furiously. Good job there, Marshall. So I think the way to summarise these last 2 races were really just, there's some just moments of just filth, but I don't think anyone was really totally malicious. It was just like everyone just got a bit angry with each other and things boiled over a little bit too much. But I think everyone meant well, really, and we're all alive, and let's just all go and have a nice good life, everyone. Okay, let's not, it's only Gran Turismo, it's only an online game, it doesn't matter too much. There's more important things in the world. But thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll catch you around very soon. Goodbye.